Welcome to this episode of Digital Marketing Confessions. I'm your host Steve Hooper, and this is where I'll be asking the masterminds of digital marketing what they think is working and what isn't working in the world of digital right now. This week I'm speaking with the amazing Maggie Benson from Agency Alliance in British Columbia, Canada. Maggie supplies services to agencies that need additional capacity as well as working with clients directly. I've had the privilege of working with Maggie on a number of projects, and she is my first port of call when it comes to anything Facebook. Facebook advertising, Facebook messaging, you name it, Maggie's the person to go to. She is highly process driven and hugely organised. Maggie is a trusted voice of the digital marketing community with years of experience to share. I'm delighted to welcome Maggie Benson. I am absolutely delighted today because my guest is the amazing Maggie Benson, and it comes from the heart because this lady hasn't just been a confidant of mine when it comes to digital marketing. We work together on numerous projects as well, and she's dug me out of numerous holes and told me that I'm being an idiot at ridiculous hours of the morning because she's on the other side of the world. All the way from British Columbia, Canada, Maggie Benson from Agency Alliance. Welcome to Digital Marketing Confessions.
Thank you, Steve. I'm very happy to be here, and I think my head just exploded about 3 times with that wonderful intro. I am much more humble. I'm much more humble than that. So
I know you are. I do know you are. Maggie, tell us a little bit about Agency Alliance, what you do, who you serve, so that the people can get an idea of what it is you do.
What I actually do. I think you can tell from the name, I work with agencies. So we are a white label agency, full stack white label agency, working with agencies around the world, helping them with digital marketing implementation, I should say, is the big key. So I do assist my agency partners with strategy, but for the most part, they come to me and they have the strategy set up, and then they want an expert team to implement. So we are full stack, meaning we do Google ads, Facebook ads, SEO, email marketing, web design, pretty much anything under the sun, really, other than like PR and brand. And we serve no particular niche. We're every single niche, from e-commerce to information products to brick and mortar, which is probably to my own detriment because it makes me work harder. And we work at implementing high-end campaigns for our clients, and getting good results and focusing on tracking and analytics. And Steve, you know this, I am very analytical. I look at a lot of data, and it sometimes drives people nuts because I'll say, I won't know until I see the numbers. Yep. So that's the big synopsis of what we do.
So we've worked together on a number of projects, and I'm going to raise the one in particular because I've done case studies on it. I've done, I've done webinars on it because at the time, we were getting a return on investment on this one particular campaign of 1,400% return on investment. I think it currently sits about 2,800% return on investment. So when it comes to Maggie being an expert, understanding the numbers and really, really understanding her stuff, I can totally vouch for it because I benefit, my clients benefit, and when I have a problem, I can go to Maggie and I can talk to Maggie about absolutely pretty much anything. And yeah, pretty much anything. And, we have a great relationship. I love you to bits, and I'm so delighted to have you on today because I do feel that people are going to really benefit from what I think I understand is coming from the 2 questions that we always ask our guests. And I'm going to ask you the first question now. And that first question is, what do you feel isn't working in the world of digital marketing right now?
Oh, it's not even what I feel, it's what I know. The biggest thing is it's a combination of shiny object syndrome and thinking you know what's going to work. So I always love examples. Case in point, was talking to an individual and she was an agency and doing Facebook ads, and worked for some clients and didn't work for other clients. And this is not her fault. And I certainly know that she might hear this, and I don't want her to think that. But the problem is that Facebook ads is not the solution for every little thing. And I see that over and over again, where we focus too much on the tactic and not on the bigger strategy. Tactics are great, but you have to know the avatar and know what they're thinking and know where they're at in the purchase process before you can ever talk to a tactic. The tactics are just there to try to get people in. But if you don't have that cohesive plan, it flops. And that's why some agencies do great. They'll get a winner Facebook campaign and thinking that they can take that and extrapolate it to everybody. And then it flops. Well, why? Because your avatar in Los Angeles is a completely different avatar than that in New York City. You can't take it and extrapolate it. And that's the biggest thing I see. Someone gets really hot and juicy over some tactic and they watched a webinar and they're all excited about it. And then they want to implement it because they're excited, but they don't understand. This is usually the business owner, not the agency. They don't understand that you have to take a step back and figure out, why did that actually work? Well, it worked because they tied the tactic in with the avatar. And that's the biggest mistake I see over and over and over again. My agency partners know better. And if they don't, I certainly coach them to know better. Most of them know better. But then they have to sit and do the work with the client and say, we need to slow down. Yes, that's a good tactic. Facebook ads can be great, but not always. And sometimes we need to actually look at where the avatar sits and come up with the solution for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. We're Dominic Cummings, who you and I both know very, very well. He was on a couple of weeks ago, and he said a similar sort of thing. He doesn't call it shiny object syndrome. He calls them profit destroyers or something along those lines.
He's much more articulate than I am.
Off air, he called it something very different, but it was a similar sort of thing. And you're absolutely right. When people get in their heads the tactics, or they see a webinar, and the past few months for me have been absolutely agonizing, because my Facebook feed has been full of people selling me $27 for this, $37 for this, $47 for this. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, I know exactly what's going to happen here. These people that are downloading this stuff are going to implement it. They're going to throw money at something that's not going to work at a time where they should be, they should be concentrating on the stuff that is working. They should be looking at, as you say, their customer avatar and thinking, if I implement this for this particular customer avatar and, the customer persona, whatever you want to call it, and is it going to work? Is it the right thing for me? And, I've been seeing people selling B2B stuff on Facebook that I wouldn't let my grandmother download, It's like, and I think that's the nicest way to put it is a lot of it's just rubbish. Because these people have been told to pivot, and they've just put together some random stuff, and they're calling that.
A lot of them are struggling, and let's be honest, a lot of them pivoting and throwing all that crap out of there because they're struggling.
Yeah,
it's the result of COVID. My analogy that I think a lot of business owners can relate to is the fitness world. So I get spammed with a lot of fitness ads. Now that's because in middle of July, I hired a personal trainer. So of course my entire online experience on Facebook and Instagram is following fitness gurus and everything because I'm learning, right? But a lot of these programs, they offer big promises, which is marketing. I won't deny that. But we all know that the program, a fitness program, will do nothing without the support, right? And it's the same thing when it comes to marketing. You can look at all of these gimmicks and gurus and promotions and webinars and tactics and all that kind of stuff. But without understanding the bigger picture and understanding how it fits into the process, you're more than likely going to fail, just like you would buying a fitness program off of Instagram.
Yep.
It's very, very similar. Now, at the end of the day, how do you know the difference? Well, if you don't know the difference, you need to work with someone who does.
Yep.
Right? Like I hired a
Absolutely.
personal coach to work on my baby belly. I should be frank.
Mine's
He's sick,
not a
but we
baby
won't
belly.
talk about that.
Yeah, mine's not a baby belly. It's a liquid grain storage silo. So, you know, and there are other names for it, but we're PG.
You are British. I give you that. Yeah. You
But
guys in your pubs makes me jealous. Yeah.
But I've done a similar thing recently. You know, a couple of guys who I've been privileged to know through a program that I'm taking part in, and you know they're very much up on the digital marketing stuff, and they've attended everything that I've done during every seminar, every webinar, you name it, everything that I've done in the past few months. They've been there and they've taken it on board, and you know they've run their 21-day challenge, and they're on Facebook, and they're helping anybody and everybody, you know, giving loads of free advice and all the rest of it. And I went on their 21-day challenge. I got to admit, I went in 7 days in, and I was just like, right, okay, look, I need something that's a bit more 2006 Rocky, not 1976 Rocky. You know, I need the one where it says, right, your knees are shot, your eyes are dead. You know, I said, I need that program rather than the other program. And they've written me a program, but it comes from their ability to concentrate on the, you know, exactly who their target market is. You know, they're going after people who are, you know, working from home. Okay, you're working from home, you need to be concentrating on this, you need to be concentrating. It's not just about the fitness, you've got to think about the diet and the calorie counting and all the rest of it, and breaking it all down so it's really, really easy to understand. And what they've done is within 21 days, they've given away literally 90% of everything that you need to know. And they held back at 10%, which is the bit that people need to get over the line. And that's the bit that they pay for. And I felt, you know, I went on a Zoom call with them and I was like, hey, here's my credit card, just to, you know, to turn me into something amazing. And they were like, it's a little bit more involved than that. But, and I'm like, well, yeah, okay. But, you know, and it's working. I'm happy. So, you know, I do totally understand where you're coming from with that particular niche, especially.
I think most people can relate to that. Like they, you know, the weight loss industry has been around for decades. Let's just be honest, right? So it's the easiest one to create an analogy for and turn that, okay, you know, are you being the spammy fitness guru, or are you actually creating a system and a process that benefits your customers?
Yeah. And that's the big thing, is that systems and processes are, you know, the way forward. And I have to say, you are one of the absolute superstars when it comes to standard operating procedures, because the amount of times you've dug me out of a hole by just having a piece of paper and going, do you want me to send you this? And I'm like, yes, please. So Maggie is one of the most organized people that you'll ever come across. She's always got her operating procedures to hand, ready to go.
I in my fairness, I was 12 years a lab tech in healthcare, and you can't drop the ball, you know, on that field. You have to follow your SOPs, and there's no exceptions. Although I have a rebel at my heart, so I usually find a way to break the rules, but never to detriment of healthcare or the patient. But yeah, that's a huge part of it. I had a new client. She's like, "Oh my God, your processes are like on par." I'm like, "Well, that's why." Like we had SOPs to write an SOP. That's the healthcare system. So, yes.
Great stuff. So just to sum up, the big thing is to make sure that you have something in place rather than just grab at every little opportunity, every shiny penny, every profit killer that that comes along. Just think about what you're doing and apply it to a plan rather than anything else.
And take the webinars. Like, I'm not saying don't watch the webinars.
No.
Don't take people up on it, but use it with a grain of salt and understand. Always start with your foundation of who's your audience, and then take that tool and say, where can I put this tool into the customer journey, or is it even applicable? You know, webinars are great. There's a lot of webinars on webinars, but that doesn't mean it's applicable to every single, you know, niche and vertical in business out there. So you might get all hot and heavy from watching a webinar about someone making 50K on a launch, but that doesn't mean it applies to your business.
No.
And so by keeping that, you know, bigger picture in mind, really understanding your who will help you minimize ultimately a lot of headaches down the road. So
yeah, absolutely. Which brings us nicely on to our second question, which I know is something that you're very, very passionate about. And it is, what do you think, or what do you know is working in the world of digital marketing right now?
I'm sure the listeners have already kind of figured out where I'm going with this, because it's pretty much the opposite side of the coin, but it's having a plan. So Steve and I come from the same training thought process, from the wonderful people at Digital Marketer. And we both use a system and a process called the customer value journey, which is a proprietary process, training philosophy that Digital Marketer uses. And in that, you establish first your who. Who are you talking to? Because even in the fitness industry, talking to females versus males is two different things, because their wants and their needs and their push points and their pain points are completely different. So you have to start with your who. And then you have to say, where are they in their journey? Where are they in their awareness journey? Do they even know what the solution is? Or do they know where the solution is, and you just have to present it and get it in front of them? Because if you're coming out with a product that very few people know about, you have to start way farther back in the awareness campaign to actually generate awareness for people who may not even know that they have a problem. Then you have to say, hey, you have a problem. Then you have to say, this is the solution to the problem. And then you have to say, this is my solution to the problem. That's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time. But you have to know your who before you start activating all the tactics. And once you know your who, you can start to say, okay, so how do we build an ecosystem that gets them in? Because it used to be 8 touch points before we got someone to purchase, and now it's more like 12. And I won't be surprised if by next year it's more like 15, because everybody's gone online. Like, you have to create an ecosystem between all your digital tactics, your social media, your ads, your email marketing, your website, your content, in order to get, you have to work harder to get that sale. And you have to have a cohesive process to do that. That won't break the budget. If you've got millions of dollars to spend, you can go to town, but most of our clients don't, right? So that's what's working, is you have to have the cohesive plan. Even if it's a Facebook ad, getting people into your email list, and then building a weekly blog and building the email list. That is still a cohesive plan, and a better plan than just throwing money at Facebook ads.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you mentioned the customer value journey, and you know, I mean, I use it as a gospel, if you like. It's something that, you know, we have to have something in place in order for it to work. And the only campaigns that we ever come across that don't work are the ones where they go, yeah, we'll come back to that. We just need something to go now. And, you know, I'm actually probably one of the harshest people on the planet. And I tell them, look, really sorry, we can't work with you, because you'll drag down my figures. I'm really sorry. You know, I've got a reasonably good success rate, and I really don't want to work on a campaign that I know is going to fail. And they go, oh, it won't fail, but yeah, I'm afraid it will. And you rightly pointed out, you know, if you're coming new to the market and you're coming with something that's totally new and it's unheard of, you first off, you've got to create the problem. Because, you know, they don't even know that problem exists at that particular moment in time. You know, I mean, I'm waiting for the guy that comes up with the, hey, look, you know, you put this device in the room and cover all your furniture, and we'll paint it for you, and it's done. You know, and that would save me hours and hours and hours. And I'm sure there's someone out there that will go, actually, that already exists. I know the problem exists because I've painted most of the rooms in the house in the last couple of weeks. But yeah, but you know, this is it. This is the thing: is you have to, if you've got that new product, you have to raise the awareness side of things hugely. And, I think that's where we as marketers break everything down, and the customer value journey being the 8 stages: awareness, engagement, subscription, conversion, excitement, ascension, advocacy, and promotion. We look at it as well as we break down those individual sections into even smaller sections than that when it comes to awareness campaigns, because you're literally starting from scratch. You not only have to make them aware that the product exists, you have to make them aware that the problem exists, and you have to make them aware that you are a trustworthy source that can fix that problem. And as you're going through that, the first 3 stages, the awareness, the engagement, the subscription, the amount of work that goes into that for a new product, a new service, is absolutely incredible. And we see people that launch, especially over the last 6-8 months, people have launched stuff and they've gone with the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. And the conversations that I'm having with people where they go, oh, we're so disappointed that, we didn't get the launch that we wanted. And it's like, well, no, because you've launched a luxury service in the middle of the time when people can't take advantage of that luxury service. Oh yeah, but we thought we'd get future bookings. It's like, no, you didn't build up the trust before you went into that stage. And, having a plan, wow, so it just comes back to the same thing over and over and over again. Those that have what I call the Scarface method of, they're just shooting money off shooting money off into different campaigns all the time, and it doesn't work. And they can't understand why, and they can't understand what's happening. And it's frustrating from a marketer's point of view to see it when you coach and you teach the philosophy, if you like, of have a plan in place. You can't just do this winging it. You have to actually have something in place that says, right, okay, well, if the customer just finds us with this ad, this is where we're going to take them next. And you're going to move them around the room, one stage to another. And it comes back to the Desmond Morris book of Human Intimacy. When you're moving someone, that's all about touch and so on. But going back to the asking for a first date and all the rest of it, when you meet someone in a club, you first ask them if they'll go to the bar, and if they go to the bar with you, then you chance has gone up. And then if you say, hey, look, it's loud in here, should we go outside? Chances go up again. And should we go back and get another drink? Chances go up. And it works in a very similar way with with marketing. And that's not an analogy that I would use when I'm talking to a client, but the fact of the matter is that's what it is. You are moving someone from one place to another. And you have to do it with authority, but you have to do it with respect for the person that you're moving as well, because a lot of people just won't do it. I know there's a guy called Troy Dean who runs WP Elevation, which is a course for WordPress developers. And Troy, in his marketing section, he says, look, you have to move them around the club. You have to do this. And he actually uses this. And one of the things that he does is when he gets a request come through from somebody to talk to him and all the rest of it, he says, hey, look, this is our first meeting. Tell you what, follow me on LinkedIn and find out a bit more about me on LinkedIn. So instantly he's asked them to trust him by going somewhere else. But he's also said, let's build up a bit more of a relationship by doing this. And, I think that's pretty much where we're going with the, have a plan, make sure that you're moving people in a way that you understand and they understand. Because if you don't do that, you're going to lose a lot of people's respect, and you're going to lose it very, very quickly.
Yeah, most consumers are very cautious nowadays.
Yeah.
There's been, especially in our industry, they've been burned. Monique from Geronimo, I'm going to butcher her business name, Geronimo Solutions. She's another fellow Canadian, so she's always got a special place in my heart. She explained it really, really well. Take your client, take your avatar, take your potential customer where they are and say, what's next? So instead of thinking like, okay, here's my customer, I want them to buy this $2,000 product or, $500 pair of shoes. What is the conversation having in their head of going, what's next? Well, let's go for the shoe example. Okay, I see the beautiful shoes. First thing I ask is shipping, sizing, returns, guarantees, reviews. Those are the steps you have to go through before you even ask for the sale. And as a business owner, I get it. Their bottom line is they're looking at revenue. So that's the first place they go. But as a marketer, my job, and with, I have direct clients as well. I work directly with businesses, not just agencies. My job is to say, yes, that is super important, but let's back architect it, and it sounds funny when I say it really close together, and say, where's your customer now? Where do we want to get, and what steps do we need in between? Once we figure out the steps, then you figure out the tactics, right? And that's what business owners especially need to understand, that that's the principle of marketing. Is if you look at the big branding campaigns, Nike, Coca-Cola, they're looking at where is their customer at now, and then they're hitting emotional triggers. 90% of the time, they're hitting emotional triggers. Apple has always focused more on the status of creating something new, the music in their hand. Like that's a very common example that you see in the marketing world of explaining it. But a lot of the time, they focus on the transformation, on the have, feel, and average day, and getting people, to make those micro commitments to the next step. Nike isn't expecting to make millions of sales from a TV ad. No. But they want them to make the next step, which usually nowadays is following them on social media, maybe going to the website, right? So it's about those micro commitments. And I tie back in, okay, you need 12 connection points before someone makes a sale. Think of it as 9 or 12 micro commitments along each stage of the journey. Following on social, visiting the website, joining the email list, reading your blogs, coming back, engaging, opening. And that's how you create that cohesive system. Now, it takes time. Most business owners want everything yesterday. It takes time. I think we both agree, like the client account that you were referencing earlier that was doing so great with, you've mentioned it in percent. I always think of 30 times return on ad spend, 35 times return on ad spend. She has a cohesive process. And it's taken, you're going to tune into this, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months? I'll let you answer that question. It's taken a lot of time for us to now get to the point that we can say, let's up the ad spend and let's add gas to this.
Yep.
Right? So absolutely. Most business owners don't like it when I say it takes time.
The problem is, the business owners want results, and they want results quickly. If they see money going out the door, they want to know what's coming in and when it's coming, and that's obviously, we're business owners. We fail at it as well, but, but you're absolutely right. I mean, that's that project. Wow. I think it's now 36 months in the making, that particular project, and we're only now at the stage where we can actually turn around and say, hey, look, we need to up the budget.
Now we're printing money.
And
we are.
We
wouldn't be saying that if we didn't think that we were, but now she can print money. I think the biggest thing as a business owner who is listening to this is, number one, make sure that you have a way to build your email list. Number two, make sure that you have Google Analytics and the Facebook Pixel on your site. And I don't care if you don't touch it for 12, 24 months. Get that data, because whoever you hire, that will be the key for your success and the quick wins. Because the first thing you say to me, okay, I want a quick win, the first thing I say is, do I have an audience? If I have a warm audience who already knows you, I can create an offer and I can get them to it. If you don't have that, oh boy.
Yeah.
So those are my two recommended action steps that takes, okay, for me, it takes 5 minutes. But those are the two action steps that every business owner needs to do, because that's the name of the game now. And there's lots of statistics out there that say 80-90% of all your potential customers go to your website ever before they pick up the phone and call you, submit an email to request more information. You need to be understanding that in today's market. And that applies to brick and mortar. You know, I live in a small town. You know, the first thing we do, we go to your website. Now, most of these guys don't actually have websites, but they have a Facebook page, and that works too. Yep. And if someone visits your Facebook page, I, as a marketer, can retarget them.
Yep. And that just comes down, have a presence, and, you know, make sure that you understand that the people that are coming to your website, that they are potential, they're an audience, they're a potential client. So, you know, take advantage of that.
And you don't have to be doing a story every single day, like a Facebook story or Instagram story. You know, okay, there are some people out there who really go to town on their social media. Post once a week at minimum.
Yeah.
Like, do what you can in order to let the customer and your prospect figure out who you are and what you're about, because that will be decided way before I ever step foot in your.
Just do something. Yeah.
So,
Maggie Benson, thank you so much indeed. As always, I could sit and talk to you for hours, but you know, the information, you know, the message is clear. You know, have a plan, and, you know, stop messing around with tools and tactics that you think are just, you know, gonna work, you know, because somebody said so. Forget it. You've got to have a plan in place, and you've got to implement the tools and the tactics in the right area. So
yeah, and I'm pretty sure, Steve, that if they were wanting more information on bigger picture customer journey, that you have something you could send them to.
I think I have one or two things that I could fire people over to.
Looking for more information, what we're talking about, you have a solution to that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And you can contact me, as always, steve@digitalmarketingconfessions.com, or Maggie, if someone wants to get in touch with you.
They're welcome to email me at info@agencyalliance.ca. Absolutely. And then if you email me, just let me know how you found me and say that was the Digital Marketing Confessions podcast, so that I have reference.
Brilliant. Maggie Benson, thank you very much indeed.
You're most welcome.